start again. It's a rich thing.
What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we once again continue the draft prospects for the Chicago Bulls. Another player that had a private workout for the Chicago Bulls a couple of days ago. His name is Jalen Williams, a 6'6" player from Santa Clara, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be talking about the positives and negatives of this player and whether or not he could be the right fit for the Chicago Bulls, whether that's with the 18th overall pick, or if we get another pick, or whatever the case may be in terms of after the NBA draft. Also, we got a lot of things to discuss in this retrospect. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about Jalen Williams and the potential that he could bring to the Chicago Bulls team. I believe there are a couple of guys that are actually named Jalen Williams in this draft, something I didn't really notice until now. But again, I'm sure you know exactly who I'm going to be talking about when I further discuss what his statistics are and his positives and negatives will be. So, looking at his statistics, he averaged 18 points per game, 4.4 rebounds per game, 4.2 assists per game. He also averaged 1.2 steals and 0.5 blocks in terms of the total statistics. So you can clearly see there are very positive elements of both the offensive and the defensive game for him. Very decent in both regards as well. Of course, there can still be room to improve, which we'll discuss in the positives and negatives. But looking at his highlights, I honestly can truly say I do kind of like this player. I think there's a lot of upside towards having this type of player, especially on the offensive end as well. Someone that can play make at a high level. Again, he's listed as a forward, but at 6'6", averaging 4.2 assists per game. You could obviously see him as a potential guard. Maybe he can play 1 through 4 or 1 through at least 3 in terms of the positions on the Chicago Bulls. Someone that can play on ball and off ball in his ability as well. So that's obviously a great sight to see. Looking at some of the more positives that he has, he's known to be a very good catch and shoot player, very impactful off the ball as well. We've seen a couple of guys I've talked about recently that are very good off the ball players, and I feel like Jalen Williams will fit into that category very nicely. Someone that, again, if you stick in the corner, I think he's going to make a high percentage of those shots just because he is a very good catch and shoot player. He has improved his three-point percentage over the course of the year. He's a very, very interesting player in that retrospect as well. He's a decent playmaker, as I said before. He has the ability to score off the dribble also. Yeah, it's a very good offensive capabilities in my opinion. I think there are very good skill sets that he has in his repertoire that makes him a viable offensive threat to any team that decides to pick him up. So that's something you can't ignore, something you definitely have to look at and look into if you're trying to select Jalen Williams or discuss Jalen Williams for a long period of time. You're going to have to look at that offensive game because I think there's a lot of good things about him. He also has a 7'2" wingspan, so that does help on the defensive end, and that's why he obviously had 1.2 steals per game. Looking more on the defensive side for him, he's a player that can help in the passing lanes. He's a player that does have really good help defense and has those instincts on that defensive end to be a decent help defender. I don't call him the best defender in the draft. I'm not saying that. I think there are leaps and bounds, a bunch of players that I've already talked about that will be a better defender than Jalen Williams, or are at least at this point better defenders than Jalen Williams. But there is some potential on that defensive end also, being a good help defender, in my opinion. Same with EJ Liddell when I discussed him earlier on in the NBA draft prospect videos. Help defenders are essential to the Chicago Bulls. If you can find someone that's a help defender, I think that's massive towards this team, just as much as adding size and rim protection is. You got to have good help defenders. You got to have players, especially on the bigger side of the ball, that are willing to make an impact and maybe block a couple of shots or get into the right positions at the right time, draw charges, just be a very good help defender and rotate very effectively. I feel like Jalen Williams is someone that is very good at that. And obviously playing the passing lanes as well, a guy that has a 7'2" wingspan. Incredible to see, in my opinion. So very, very interesting, something that you got to take a look at. Also, potential on the defensive end, very decent offensive game in my opinion as well. He is definitely a type of player that I feel like the Chicago Bulls should potentially be looking at. His projection is to go around the late first to the second round, so obviously doesn't necessarily fall to the 18th overall pick, at least from what I've seen and a couple of mock drafts that I've seen. Also, he has very good highlights. If you watch his highlights, he's a very good player from there. I do like this player. I think the Chicago Bulls should be looking at a player like this. Now, I don't think there's a chance he goes undrafted, like the player I talked about before in Lee. I said that there's a good chance he could go undraftedly, and I'm not sure if Jalen Williams will go undrafted. I very much doubt that he will, because again, he's projected late first into the second round. Very, very good chance he will get drafted. So I guess all that being said, the question really is, and the question that really lies around Jalen Williams is he a Chicago Bulls player? Will we select him with the 18th overall pick? And I also have a new question to ask in that retrospect as well, which is why I've kind of kept it relatively short in terms of the positives and the negatives, because I do have a second question to ask. When it comes to the 18th overall pick, as I said countless times already, we're looking at a lot of prospects. Some of them are going ahead of the 18th overall pick, and we already know that at this point in time. Some of them are well into the second round. Some of them are even undrafted prospects. I'm looking at all the Chicago Bulls, what they've interviewed so far and what they've gone through, as well as recommendations. So there are a bunch of players in a variety of instances and in a variety of positions that go in different places. So he's projected to go late first to early second. So there's obviously a possibility we could get him with the 18th overall pick, take a chance on him, because in my opinion, he is a great offensive player, can have really good potential as an on-ball and off-ball guard or forward, also has potential to be a very good defender, help defender, and play the passing lanes very well. He has the potential to do all of these things at a high level if a team could fully develop him into that. But as I said before, the 18th overall pick and going for the best available, I personally don't think Jalen Williams is the best available with the 18th overall pick. But at the end of the day, it's really up to our tourists to make that final decision. I personally like the player. Of course, I like a lot of the players. I feel like this draft is very, very stacked in terms of impact players. I don't think any of the players that I've talked about, I guess some of them might be, but not all of them are superstar potential players. Very, very few of them are superstar potential players, but all of them are really impact players. And I really do think a couple of these guys I've talked about are going to have long, healthy careers in the NBA because of what they're able to do on both ends of the ball. I really do believe this draft will be stacked with role players, will be stacked with impact players, maybe good starters down the line as well. Might not have that superstar potential, but can definitely get the job done on their team. And I feel like Jalen Williams fits right into that category as well, which begs me to ask another question. We're looking at a lot of second round picks now, ladies and gentlemen. There are a couple of guys that the Chicago Bulls have interviewed from a bunch of different players, again, like Jalen Williams, from Lee, as I mentioned before, from a couple of other guys, even Kai Soto, that we just recently did a training session with. So all of that being said, we're looking at a lot of prospects that are considered to go in the second round. So the question that I have to ask for you guys, are the Chicago Bulls considering getting a second round pick in this NBA draft? I don't know what we're going to have to give up in order to get that second round pick, but we are looking at a lot of prospects that are expected to go in the second round. And I think we all know Arturas Karnisovas is a very good drafter, and he knows what players are available and what they could bring to a team. He knows those hidden gem players. He knows that the players that are always going to be slept on and dropped in the NBA draft. So I personally feel like with the amount of people that we're actually looking at in terms of the second round, maybe there's a possibility there that the Chicago Bulls could get something done in terms of trading an asset, maybe trading future picks for a current pick or something of that nature, just to get into that second round and maybe get a player or two with the 18th overall pick and a second round pick as well. So keep that in mind going into the next couple of days, weeks, until the NBA draft. I think there could be a possibility there that we draft into the second round. So keep your eyes on that. But at the end of the day, not my first choice, Jalen Williams. I would still prefer a couple of the guys I mentioned earlier on that I think I would take over Jalen Williams. But again, he's a very good impact player in my opinion. I think if we give him a chance, I won't be mad at it at all. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful and safe day. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.